Welcome to this brief educational video that will serve as a guide to the Nurse Licensure Compact for nurse employers. The objectives of this video are to provide an overview of the Nurse Licensure Compact, to explain privilege to practice, to very briefly explain primary state of residence, to share some valuable employer resources, and to answer some key questions. So what is the Nurse Licensure Compact? The NLC is an interstate agreement that allows RNs and LPNs to practice in all compact states with one license issued from their primary state of legal residence. They can practice physically, via telehealth, or via other electronic means with their one multi-state license. Now, which states are part of the NLC? You can see from the map that there are 33 blue states. This means that 33 states have enacted the NLC. 29 of those states have implemented. You can also see that Alabama, Indiana, Kansas, and Louisiana are all light blue because they have yet to implement the NLC. Kansas and Louisiana will implement on July 1st of 2019. Alabama will implement on January 1st of 2020. Indiana implementation is still to be decided. Once the NLC is implemented in those newer states that were mentioned, nurses with legal residence in those states will then be able to apply for a multi-state license. Nurses from other NLC states who already have a multi-state license will then be able to practice in those newer states as well. Now that we explained all that, let's take a look at exactly who is eligible for a multi-state license. To be eligible, a nurse's primary state of legal residence must be a state that is part of the NLC. That nurse will also have to meet the 11 uniform licensure requirements for a multi-state license. These are included in the licensure application. So, who besides travel nurses benefits from the NLC? On the screen, you can see the extensive list of job positions that benefit. As stated before, any nurse that may deal with a patient in another state at the time of practice benefits. It also benefits military and VA nurses who move a lot. Although they can have a license anywhere in the country, when practicing in a civilian facility, they aren't covered under federal supremacy. Thus, they need a license in the state where the civilian facility is located. Finally, you, the employer, benefits as well. When a nurse has a multi-state license, the nurse can be available in a compact state immediately because they have authority to practice in that state. This is obviously to your advantage when it comes to staffing. As employers, you should also know a nurse can only hold one multi-state license that is issued by his or her home state. A multi-state license is a state-based license, and it is not a national license. This means that a nurse with a multi-state license who maintains PSOR in a compact state can work in any state within the compact without taking any additional steps. But when a nurse changes their state of legal residency, they will need to obtain a new license from their new primary state of legal residence. For more information regarding changing legal residence, we suggest that you watch the video NLC and PSOR requirements. What if a nurse is practicing in a state that is not an NLC state, such as California or Nevada? They will need a single state license valid in that non-compact state. They can apply by completing the appropriate application on the Board of Nursing website. A nurse can only have one multi-state license, but as many single-state licenses in non-compact states as he or she needs. As an employer, how can you ensure that nurses hired from NLC states are appropriately licensed? Let's take a look at some situations to help explain this. First, is the nurse relocating to your state on a permanent basis and changing their PSOR to your state? Yes? Then the nurse should immediately apply for license by endorsement in their new state of residence. There is no grace period. Many employers implement a policy where a nurse must provide proof of application for licensure within a certain number of days. However, if you hire a nurse from an NLC state, that nurse will be able to practice on his or her former multi-state license until the new multi-state license is issued. An exception to this is when a nurse accepts a job in Kansas City, Missouri, but intends on making Kansas City, Kansas her new PSOR and commuting to Missouri. In this case, the nurse should obtain her multi-state license from Kansas, her PSOR. Now, what happens when a nurse is temporarily practicing in your state and has no intention on changing their PSOR to your state? That nurse can practice in your state with their multi-state license issued from their primary state of legal residence. There is no time limit. Military spouses fall into the category of nurses who may practice in your state for a prolonged period of time, as they may work in a civilian facility and be stationed in your state for years. Sometimes, employers have a policy requiring a nurse to be licensed in the state where the employer is. They should consider amending such a policy to allow for nurses holding compact licenses from different primary states of legal residence. As an employer, how can you confirm whether a nurse has the authority to practice in your state? You can do so via nurses.com. The Quick Confirm report allows you to search for the nurse by name, license number, or NCSBN ID. When you click View Report, you see an individualized authority to practice map that displays the states where the nurse can legally practice. Nurses.com is a national database. All boards of nursing upload their licensure database into Nurses daily. We've been using the term practice a lot, but what exactly does it mean? Practice is when a nurse utilizes knowledge, education, training, or decision-making skills. So with each job function a nurse has, practice is in play. Lawful practice requires a nurse be licensed in the state where the patient is located at the time nursing service is provided. This is where the multi-state license comes in handy. If the patient is located in a compact state and the nurse has a multi-state license, the nurse is covered to practice in the patient's state. However, if the nurse only has a single state license from a non-compact state, she will need to make sure she is licensed in the state where the patient is. Which Nurse Practice Act should a nurse follow when practicing with a patient in another state? Follow the Nurse Practice Act from the state of practice or the state where the patient is located. You can find the Nurse Practice Act for each state at this website. Another great resource is eNotify. It's free and provides reminders about license expiration dates and notifies of any discipline. By registering your nursing workforce here, you can receive a notice of disciplinary action taken on any license a nurse holds in the U.S. If there is a discipline on a license, a multi-state license may be converted to a single state, and practice would be limited only to the home state. This often happens when the level of discipline restricts or limits the nurse's practice. As we start wrapping up, let's take a quick look at some other common questions that nurse employers often have. Are APRN nurses included in the compact? No. APRNs must apply for license by endorsement in each state where they practice, unless exempted in a federal facility. What about continuing education requirements? In terms of the compact, the nurse's PSOR that issued the multi-state license is the state to which the nurse owes the CEs. If a nurse holds a license in non-compact states, each of those states might have their own requirements. What if the licensee only wants a single state license? In that case, a compact party state may issue a single state license upon request. But why would a nurse request a single state license? Let's take a look at some examples. In the first example, you have a nurse who has PSOR in Florida. That nurse has always maintained her single state license even upon implementation of the NLC. Because she only plans to practice in Florida, the nurse may elect to maintain their single state license. If a nurse does not qualify for a multi-state license, the home state may issue them a single state license, subject to the state licensure requirements. Another example is that a nurse may be a legal resident of a compact state, such as Arizona, but that nurse may have an encumbered single state license. Upon completion of the conditions, the nurse may still elect to maintain his or her single state license. Finally, a nurse who has primary legal residence in Arizona, for example, may not have met the grandfathering criteria. That nurse may also elect to maintain their single state license. Those were just a few examples we've encountered where a nurse may choose to maintain his or her single state license. However, a licensee who has PSOR in a compact state and wishes to practice in other compact states should obtain a multi-state license from their home state. Thank you for watching this video. We hope that you enjoyed the information, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. We have a variety of other videos and resources available. You can find those on our toolkit page.